Pashas Matos, Tafshin Pei Gimel. First, Leinu Nishma, Nishma Yosef Ben Chaim. Okay. Share will be a different format, just much more practical, as there's something that we can take from this parsha on our daily base, and it has definitely a tremendous impact on each one of us. So I won't fly too high. I will give you a little bit because I know that you like the fantastic here, but I will try to ground and bring something very practical in the shir. More important than anyone can think it is, and it's probably the most important midah that we have to seek before any other thing. So let's go into the pasuk first. So I'm taking here not the beginning of the parsha, after the parsha of Nedarim and Shavuos, even though it's connected. And the Moshe Rabbeinu sending, the story is that Moshe Rabbeinu is sending an army to fight Midian. He's ordered by Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu tell him to avenge the honor of the Bnei Israel, the vengeance of the Bnei Israel. Moshe Rabbeinu sends his army saying, avenge the vengeance of Hashem. We have time, we're going to go into that. They go to war, they win, they come back. This is where we're taking it. So they brought all the females, and Moshe told them, Hachi Yisem Kol Nekeva, do you have a brain? These girls made you trip, and you kept them alive? How did you dare do so? Moshe got angry. And this is one of the 3 times that Moshe is going to get angry. Okay, what's the logic of Moshe? Henheina, they, how you live in Israel, bidvar Bilam. They were, what they done to the Bnei Israel, bidvar Bilam. The Zohar says, why it doesn't say here ba'atzas Bilam, on the advice of Bilam, because bidvar, he gave them spells. And in order to trap the Bnei Israel, even though those one were from the mother, or their father was from Arizal, as we saw last week, still they would have not committed, that sin. If it was not for the kishuf that Bilam gave them. So basically the Talmud of the Riyah Kodesh recounts that after Bilam, the Galia Raza, after Bilam, was unable to curse the Bnei Israel, he was depicted, sad, left without honor from Moav, from Balak. And at this point, he didn't know what to do. So in order to go back to Haran, he went back to the Hare Kedem, to the eastern mountains, where Azza and Azael, those 2 angels, we spoke about them quite a few times, that teach magic and witchcraft, that taught to Balaam and to Lavan. For instance, Balak could not approach it. He would have been killed. So he had a bird. One day, I'll give a share on this, on that bird. Why? It's always a bird. We always have birds. Ken Sipar, we have the Balak Ben Sipar. What is the bird? Bird comes a lot, the Yoina, but it's not for today. So he had a bird made out of gold and silver, and he had put a tongue of another bird inside, and he used to send them, and the bird used to fly by with witchcraft, and he used to hear what they used to say, come and teach Balak. But Balak himself was unable, he was not tamei enough to approach the hurricane. However, Balaam was going like a guest, it was his guest house. And so they told him, they gave Balaam the Eitzah of the Bnei Midian. They told him that's the only way you're going to make them trip. So how? So they told him the spells had to catch people. And he took those spells and told those girls what to say, what spells, in order to entrap. And even that, it was difficult to get the men. So they tried everything, coming at every level. So that's what Moshe Rabbeinu says. Think a second. Think a second. You want to bring those girls that know those spells. Oh, you're going to bring them as maid servants in your house. What a dumb idea. These girls wouldn't trap you in a second. So Moshe Rabbeinu, it's so obvious that Moshe Rabbeinu gets angry, and Moshe Rabbeinu, we're going to see what this anger cost him. So I'm going to keep on with the pasuk. I'm going to go light on the questions on the lashon of the pasuk, because we're not here today to so much to go into the words, even though we will go a little bit. But it's more this part of Moshe Rabbeinu getting angry, what he does. Books have been written about this. So not only this spell, Bidvar Bilam, was to entrap the Bnei Israel, but it was also Limsoir Ma'al Bashem, to hand out basically a Ma'al, Me'ilah, how do you say Me'ilah in English? To be moel, to, I don't have the word right now. Not to renege, but it's in this idea. Bashem, al dvar peor, on the spell of peor.
It means to consecrate. It means to consecrate.
To what?
Consecrate.
Consecrate?
Yeah.
Okay, I would say deconsecrate, but
no, to deconsecrate. Oh, to make something hektish is consecrating it. To be moil, right? To use hektish is
okay, yes, thank you. So al devar peor. So we see here that these girls knew quite a bit of witchcraft. Vatehi amagefa vatehi. It didn't happen by itself, yes. Vatehi, and there were automatically to show the midah keneged midah. When things happen, a person thinks Hashem punishes him. No, it's your act. The very boomerang that you sent is going to come back to you in your face. In other words, we see that Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them off because they didn't have in mind to avenge the honor of these 24,000 Jews that have died. Despite the fact that their father was from the Erev Rav, but Moshe Rabbeinu, when you send them, did you tell them? Did you tell them anything? No, he didn't tell them nothing. So how are they supposed to guess? They don't know anything. We will see that in the Ramban a little bit later. Ve'ata, and now, Higu kol zachar bataf, kill every male. Ve'chol isha yadas ish, and every woman on age to have relations, you have to kill. Now, ve'chol ataf banashim, all the younger, shelo yodim mishkal zachar chayu lachem, they were going before the tzitz of Pinchas. Very strange, very, very strange war. I'm done for the psukim. Not asking question on the Lashon. Very strange war. Every war, we have the Aron HaKodesh going out. Because the Aron HaKodesh was the first missile battery that there was on the war. The two sticks that were going through the keyholes to carry it were shooting fires, and this fire used to go to people and burn them from the inside. And that fire wouldn't stop. It would go to someone else and someone else, and the Aron HaKodesh was shooting. They had nothing to do. It was not a war. It was the Aron HaKodesh. So, and now this time there's no Aron HaKodesh. The Aron HaKodesh is not going. Oh, Pinchas is going. Pinchas should be Yeshua. He fought Amalek. He was the one. So why is Pinchas going and not Yeshua? Why is he putting on the sidelines? No, it has to be Pinchas. If I have time, I'll tell you something behind that. Now I will pay you for the amazing part. So Pinchas is going. And they really have to take it to the enemies and fight it when they could have had it easy. Why? Is that the vengeance to show that it's too easy to kill them with the Aron HaKodesh? They had to die with a sword, meaning that's one of the only wars Bnei Israel went with weapons and indeed, fought with the enemy. Because otherwise, it's always the Aron HaKodesh. Bnei Israel never used to carry weapons. Okay? So Pinchas is going, not Yeshua. The Aron HaKodesh is not there. Why? And they go take it to the people. But Moshe Rabbeinu didn't give any information. Who does he get angry at? Sarei Alafim veSarei Ameos. The big guys, the generals, the colonels, those he gets angry. Rashi explains why. Because every time there is something wrong going on, we assign it to the bigger person. He was there, he should have prevented it. Agreed? Every time it's like this. The Gemara says in Shabbos, but it's always like this. But you miss the greatest person. Get angry at Pinchas. Pinchas was above the general, was a marechal. I don't know how you want to call him. He was the minister of war, or the DOD, Department of Defense, or anything you want. So get at him, because he's the Kohen Gadol. Now he got Kehuna. He comes out with the 8 begadim, with all dressed like a Kohen Gadol. He's the greatest. Why do you miss him? What do you get angry at? Oh, the one above the soldiers, but not the one above. But Rashi doesn't say that. He says we assign the mistakes always to the great. So it should have been to Pinchas, but it's not the case. On the other hand, we do understand that Moshe Rabbeinu has a real time on them. What do you expect from this woman? You destroyed their families. You destroyed their countries. You took away their freedom. What? They're going to be happy sitting down in your house and cleaning the floors? They were free girls doing all the shmutz they wanted to do. Now all of a sudden they're in the Jewish house. Oh, Shabbos, you can do work. On this, you can do this. On this, you can do that. And on top of this, you have this meat. What do you expect? Obviously, if they remember anything of the spells, they will try to interrupt her. They will try to create mayhem in the house. Now, when all the Bnei Israel were together and one could see the other, so you have the pressure of the community, the pressure of others being in public, did not prevent 24,000 from sinning. Do you think someone in his house, in his private walls, would be prevented from sinning? Obviously. So what was the cheshbon? How'd you bring me back those very girls that basically ensnared the Bnei Israel? How do you do that? How don't you think you are 12,000 tzaddikim, but not any type of tzaddik? You are tzaddikim to the level that you have never said a lie, and I'll prove it in the words of the pasuk. How they were able to overcome what came at them. It's all the dinim, everything from Shamayim through Midian. The Satan got the right to decimate the Bnei Israel. That's what happened in Shamayim. There was a gzera of Kliyach Maran Islam. As HaKadosh Baruch Hu does, every time he does things with a little change. Always, even when we are bad and we deserve punishment and we get punished, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is never far. He's very, very close. He never moves away. Very, very waiting for us. It seems like there is no solution to our nightmare. There's no solution to our darkness. There's no solution to that situation. It's impossible. Yes, there is. You can't go above that. There's a gzera in Shamayim. The Beis Din Shel Maila told the Satan, he came with a tviyah, he came with a complaint, and the Beis Din Shel Maila said, you are right. And we give you the right to go all the way. Was very happy. Still, it's the Bnei Israel. We better watch it. So he took all these armies of, I don't know how you will call those guys, forces of the dark with him, and he still lost. And we're going to see the amazing part behind this. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even in the worst of times, he's still exactly at the same place. He hasn't moved. It's us that moved. Anyway, so we understand the difficulty here because from one side and the other, it's obvious. And I don't want to go too much ahead of myself, but I would like to give you this time to give you a little bit more grounding so you understand when we get to deal with anger, you will understand that it's fully grounded. The Midrash says 3 times Moshe Rabbeinu got angry. So the Midrash in Vayikra Rabbah, 3 times. First time it's on the Pasha Shmini. First time he got angry, and 3 times he forgot the halacha. As if Kas is related to halacha, or Kas is related to memory. We're going to have to break every word Chazal tell us to understand and have a full picture of what's happening. But don't worry, you're not going to have to work very hard because Reb Chaim Vital, the Talmud of the Ari HaKadosh in his Sefer, he gives it to you, hands it free. But at the beginning, let's go for it. Moshe Rabbeinu got angry at Elazar and Isamar the day when Nadav Avihu died. They did the chatas and they didn't eat from it. And he got angry. Why don't you eat? How can you make a chatas to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when the kohanim don't eat from it? So you didn't make a kapara. So very calmly, it's always Elazar. Elazar knew how to trigger Moshe Rabbeinu, his strength, and at the same way guide his uncle. And he told him very calmly, but we are oinen, meaning we are, before being avel, there's a period when the person is patur from all the mitzvahs. It's before burial. And because his mace is before him. And the oinen is asur to eat the kedashim. It's asur. And Moshe Rabbeinu hit his mind and said, how did I forget that? Midrash says anger. Moshe Rabbeinu get angry at the people going out on Shabbos for the man. Check if the man was falling on Shabbos. Moshe Rabbeinu forgets to tell them the halacha that on Friday they will have it twice. Moshe Rabbeinu gets angry here by us on the Sarei Alafim and Sarei Ameos, the generals of the thousands, the one in charge of the 1,000 and one in charge of the hundreds. And he forgets the halacha of Hagalas Kelim, koshering the Kelim. Elazar has to come and say the halacha of Hagalas Kelim. And he comes with a very, very sweet way. He says, my master, so because beforehand he was talking, Moshe was talking to Elazar, and he told him about these halachas, that when they're going to come back and they're going to bring vessels, and all kind of things, gold, silver, copper, or whatever, this is how we have to do the Hagala. But he says to me, he didn't tell me to say it. So if we look in the Pasuk, I'm going to show you just one strange language. Vayomer Elazar Kohen, that's what the Midrash finishes about the Ka'as. Elazar Kohen told an Anshe Atzava, the people that went to war, Habaim la milchama. Look at this language. What would you say? These people, they came back from war, right? So why does he say they're coming for war? Habaim la milchama. Before, when they came out of war, it says in the pasuk, hayotzim la milchama. They go out for war. But when you come back, you don't come back for war. So here it says habaim la milchama, as if they come to have to make a war here in the camp. Zois chukas hatoira asher tziva Hashem es Moshe. The second pasuk in Parshas Chukas. What the heck? What connection between Paraduma, Paraduma, and here in Midian? What's the connection? Why is he bringing Paraduma here, Elazar? But anyway, he said it in a very nice way. And he still told them the halachas, but how come Moshe Rabbeinu, and what connection? Every time you get angry, you forget the halacha. If we go a little bit deeper and see the orders HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave, so Moshe Rabbeinu expected the soldiers all involved in the army to know that they had to kill those girls. But this Lashon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said it, Timchei es zecher Amalek. You have even the zikaron of Amalek, I don't want it to be. Take it all out. But here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Tzara es Hamidianim. Tzara is litzroyer, to pain them. It doesn't say kill them. It doesn't say exterminate them. It says pain them. Nikmas Hashem b'Midian. Nikmas b'nei Yisrael b'Midian. The vengeance of a b'nei Yisrael in Midian. Okay. Kill 24,000. 240,000, 10 per person that die. You know, I don't know how far is the what is the, you know, how to amount this vengeance, but it says only a vengeance. It doesn't say anywhere to exterminate them. So how is Moshe expecting that these tzaddikim that wouldn't move right or left from the words of Hashem would know that indeed they had to kill them? No. For them, the tzibur of HaKadosh Baruch Hu only give them the right to a certain point, which they carried out. You're going to tell me, why did they kill the man and not the woman? Because the woman did the chet, not the man. But then the Zohar says the woman didn't want to go, and they used to hit them. So the men pushed them. So the men are responsible. Okay, they paid. That's it. We wash our hands. These girls didn't want. Oh, now all of a sudden there's a logic why they didn't kill them. But you, Moshe Rabbeinu, if it's so important, why didn't you say it beforehand? And in contrary, the words of Hashem in the pasuk go along with what the soldiers have done. The Ramban HaKadosh comes up. You would know how many soides in this Ramban. It's just unbelievable, the depth of his words. Because once after you finish the whole shir, you come back and you look at the few lines of the Ramban and you see everything you have said, and plus there's still room. It's like you're not even feeling a little corner of what the Ramban says in his word, but at least you're enlightened. So I'm going to tell you the Ramban with enlightenment. And he comes. He says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu ordered Moshe, Lo says Nikmas Hashem b'Midian, to give, to avenge Hashem in Midian. That's all. No more. Moshe Rabbeinu thought, so now the Ramban is going to go into our question. Moshe Rabbeinu thought that it's enough for them to understand that they shouldn't leave anyone alive from there. Because you have to know that Midian is not part of the Eretz Yisrael. So when they avenged it, they destroyed, they made it a desert. Till today, it's a desert, Midian. It's never been rebuilt. So Moshe Rabbeinu thought that they're going to carry out, a vengeance, like everyone will be dead. Why? Because there is a halacha. I didn't understand when I learned the Ramban. I could not understand why is he bringing this halacha of ve'es habehema taharoigu. After I wrote, I said, "Oh my gosh, it's so obvious." Look at the. But in a few words, he says that someone who's caught going with an animal, okay, he dies by lapidation, but the animal too. Chazal are asking, Rashi, why is the animal, what did he do? Nothing. Only because they're going to say, this one there, you see this animal, that's the one who went with that guy that was put to death. But it's called HaKadosh Baruch Hu kills the animal, but the animal is not Chayim Misa. So now you can understand the kavanah of the Ramban. Even more so here, when you have these girls that say, hey, that was the girl here, and that was the girl that the guy died here because. So obviously there's a din Torah that you have to kill them. So Moshe says that's the cheshbon of Moshe Rabbeinu, how he was expecting all the, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to Moshe, says, you have to avenge the honor of the Bnei Israel. In other words, the 24,000, because despite again that the father was from the Erev Rav, they were from the daughters of the Shevet Shima. At the end of the day, they were Jewish. What happened? Says the Midrash Rabbah here on Bamidbar, here on the Parsha, that in Balak, that Bilam told them, you have to be careful not to give them wine before the act and before the I would explain again my words, and not before they serve Baal Peor. Why? Because he didn't want them to get elaborated, drunk, and at that point they should get, because they can't control themselves anymore. So they gave them Yain Amoin. It's a special wine that get all the bad. We'll talk about Hashem another time about the Yain B'nei Amoin. How does this wine works to get all the worst animalistic tensions, or I would say it will trigger all the most animalistic behavior into a person. It's a special one. And that's what they use. We have to understand here in the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in order to understand, we said the Aron Abris didn't go out, but Pinchas went with his Kadosh Baruch Hu told us, Sarah. It's unfortunate I can't go very deep here because I see the time nervously that passes trying to explain, and still didn't start the class. I'm going to go very fast here then. Sarah is Malchus. Sorry, you see, I'm starting to rush my head. Equals 496 equals Malchus. They affected the Malchus. They affected the queen of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They affected the queen of the Melech Malchi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the Aron Abris. I can't show it to you 10 ways in Gematrias, but this is where the Shechina lies in the Aron Abris. And therefore, the Aron Abris, so since they damaged it and they removed it and they put the Sitra Achara instead of her, therefore, she could not take part of, and this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this vengeance, you have to avenge and put back. So the mission is to put back the Malchus back in its place. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu requests to avenge Nikmas B'nei Yisrael. I'm not putting the thing, equal 1194. Equals what we saw last week, just to remember that it's a continuation. Shechem, Esav, Baal Peor. Because of them, there was Zimri. Because of them, so Shechem and Esav, we remember these were the two Gilgulim in Zimri. And because of them, there were the Chet of Avodah Zarah. And look how it's taken. Please, because we're going to work in column vertically today. So I'm building one column just to see the big scene that we have seen, and and finalize on it and give you on the other end a bigger scene than this. You will see. So Baal Peor. Moshe Rabbeinu sends them. Where's my cursor? And he tells them to avenge. I'm not going to go a lot in gematria today. But we need to understand that. Nikmas Hashem, which equals 616. The magic number I love. 616 is all the feeling of the name Keye, which is in the Bina. With the Yud, Aleph, hey, you know, with Yud, with Aleph, just to explain. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't change the order from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe Rabbeinu knew that they don't have the Aron Aberis with them. How will they fight? How are they going to win the war? It's not possible. Therefore, he connected them, since the Malchus is not here, he connected them to the Keye, because remember in Mitzrayim, who did Keye Asher Keye? It's the Bina, who empowered the Malchus, because the Malchus on its own in Mitzrayim also was in the same stage as where the Malchus is here, on the floor, Islam. That's what we call raising the Shechina from the fall, the Hakim Shechina Me'afra, from its floor, because with the Chataim of the Bnei Israel, the Shechina is considered all the way as a floor. So we see a tremendous sin, tremendous desecration, tremendous, whatever adjective go through your head, you can say it. But Moshe Rabbeinu makes a fundamental error here. As Vesham, that I mean to say, everybody knows I love Moshe Rabbeinu more than anything. So fundamental error. There are two types of wars. There's the war Milchemes Mitzvah, when they go conquer lands because it belongs to their inheritance, Eretz Yisrael. It's called a Milchemes Mitzvah. The difference in the Milchemes Mitzvah, we can crystallize it in two things. Number one, the Yefas Toyar, that to take captives, beautiful captives, it's also when it's a Milchemes Mitzvah. However, since a soldier, when he fights a Milchemes Mitzvah and he has no food, he's allowed to eat even bacon. Rashi in the Gemara, we couldn't say Kadle Chazirai, he writes in Belaz bacon. Interesting. So there is no Isur, there is no Giule, the disgusting thing is of Oibet Koichavi. There is no din, so the din of Taras Kelim applies only when you go for Milchemes Hareshus, when it's a facultative war, it's an optional. They attack you, but you don't go for the land. It's called Milchemes Hareshus. In that case, you're allowed to captivate women. And that's what they've done. They were known to be the most beautiful women in the world. Oh, we brought them all back. We'll deal with the problem of their mouth, cut the tongue, whatever they want to do. But, so Moshe Rabbeinu thought that, so we see that his Kaas got him to a much bigger problem than just not saying a halacha. Blood could have been spilled illegally against halacha. You could have taken the whole Eidah and bring a sin upon them because you have mistaken. Why have you mistaken? Because you got angry. Oh, so getting angry now doesn't only reflect on your own life, it will affect even people outside, right? How would it affect them? You get angry in your house. Who didn't get angry? So you get angry in your house. Fine, you go out, it's done, it's over. It's over. Can you change it? Can you go back? What category is chaos? Is chaos the category of any mistake, any sin that you make tshuva and you can go back on it, you can erase it? Or is it something maybe that's even above tshuva, that tshuva can do nothing for it? If tshuva can do nothing, means it goes pretty deep. Because tshuva is the world of the bina. Oh, Moshe Rabbeinu sent them with the bina, right? We'll see. We'll tie all this up together. And the neshames of Bnei Yisrael, the mekor, is the bina. How can you tell me that I have something within me that's above bina? So since the tshuva is in bina, my neshama, my most precious thing, my highest level thing that chas v'shalom a person can affect is from bina. So tshuva has to work. It's mathematical. If A plus B equals 2, and you know A equals 1, B equals 1. It's mathematical. If tshuva is in the bina, my neshama is from the bina, tshuva equals neshama. Period. Can clean it up. Very good. Reb Chaim Vital in Shar Ruach HaKodesh. Started with the Ruach HaKodesh, yes. All right, we're going to go through some turbulences. Attach seat belts. I'm going to try to say it in a way that it's not negative, chas v'shalom, but to bring a level of awareness that these words you're going to hear tonight, you have never heard them. Never heard them. If I would tell you, is kas more stringent than Chilul Shabbos, you would look at me as a joker, right? But I'm going to prove it to you. There's nothing above it in this world. This is the utmost, destroying, destruction, everything we have built, but worse than this. You're going to see how far it goes. One kas. And hopefully we can take from this a lesson and change our lives. Says Reb Chaim Vital, the words of the Ari HaKodesh in Shar Ruach HaKodesh. Obviously, someone who gets angry cannot have access to the very fine things. As we see, the Gemara says in Psachim, if a person gets angry, if he's a Navi, he loses the power to prophesy. If it's the Talmid Chacham, he loses his Torah. He says the Ari HaKodesh was extremely makpid never to get angry, and saying that this is the worst Aveira from all the Aveiras. Why? Because he says every Aveira affects only one limb. You don't have, yes, you have Aveira chas v'shalom, someone is chayav misa, so it affects his life, like Chilul Shabbos or so forth, when there's a hasra, when he was warned with the edim and so forth. Yes. However, you have no Aveira that affects, so the nefesh, v'nichresa ha-nefesh ahi, You can soil your nefesh, you can soil the ruach, but here his whole entire being will be changed. Says the Ari Kodesh that his neshama, the nefesh, ruach, neshama go out and come back. A nefesh, ruach, neshama from the side of the tumah, from the sitra achra. In other words, if that triggers something, the Metzora that has said Lashon Hara and his 10 spheres come from is less than the one who got angry. Why? Because you can remedy. Okay, for 2 weeks, gonna be outside, not very much fun. We saw then that he's gonna be in the world of Shadim, in the Midbar, they're gonna scare him. It's part of the tikkun. Here, it's not gonna feel bad, the person. The Zohar HaKadosh says in Pashas Tetzaveh on this, usually I tell it to you into a story, but these words are way, way too important to try to go above. I'd rather stay close to the words. So you say, I didn't say anything. I'm translating you. I'm just saying what I've learned and I brought it down. He says, how do you know if you're allowed to approach? Listen to the language. If you're allowed to approach a certain person. You see, he looks like a Rav on the outside. He looks extremely frum. You still have to ask yourself, am I allowed to approach him? Am I allowed to learn from him? Who is he? The Zohar HaKadosh says a person is composed by 3 components. And all are included, and they're all attached, and they're all included in the envelope, which is the levush, which is the guf. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. If you see that person, that his way is always calm, even though when he needs to he could get angry, and he's entitled to get angry, he doesn't get angry, this person is a true servant of his creator, and you should be in his vicinity. This is a holy person. On the other hand, if you see a person that gets, even though he knows the whole Shas, he knows the whole Kabbalah, he knows everything, but he gets angry, listen to the language of the Zohar. He is a Avodah Zorah. And by these people, it says, Al tifnu el ha'elilim. You should not go to the fake gods. Elilim. Avodah Zarah. He is El Zar. There are 4 categories that you're always going to find in the Torah coming around and around. And they all need, sometimes, I hate titles. I need to have me every time put them in a box. Understand what each one means. You have Elohim Acherim, Krishma. You have El Acher, in the Lashon of the Pasuk, also in the Aseret Dibros. We have El Nechar Haaretz, so El Nechar, the strange gods. And we have El Zar, foreign gods. Why these languages are different from one another? Why? What are these languages? Are you talk to me about idols and powers, the dark powers? Fine. But why do you categorize them in 4 different categories? Are there 4 categories? Then tell us. You know, when you read in the Torah, El Nechar, you don't know which category it refers to. So maybe we should be enlightened, you know, about understanding what we refer to, so we know which one is on top. And like this, we can see in Avodah Zarah, we have the same way that in the Kedusha, we have Keser and Nigapin Malchus. In Avodah Zarah, we'll know the stages, so people stay away and be aware. Very, very briefly, it took 4 of the greatest people Israel had, and they sacrificed in order to counterbalance the power of these clippers. So strong they are. These are the 4 clippers that there's no recovery. Person that fell in there, goodbye, Charlie. Now, we asked the question before. It's a little bit illogical because the tshuva should be able to affect that and change the course, because the neshama comes from there. Number 2, you're telling me goodbye, Charlie. Are you saying in this world, and the misa will be a kapara, and then he will be fine afterward? Or are you talking forever? Because at this point, I don't know what to expect anymore. Let's take a second just to go in these 4 clippers so you understand the gravity of what we're talking here. Why am I here? So we're going to take Elohim Acherim. We've been warned constantly in the Torah against that. Equal 345. Moshe took it down. We have El Acher, El Nechar, these 2. Yaakov took 2 with his name, equals 541, equals Yisro, with his name Yisro. Then we have Elzar, the one we're dealing with, equals 238. It took a life of one of our greatest mother to take this one down. Rachel Imenu went to kill that. To tell you, Rachel mevakal b'neiha. She was watching and she saw that there's no one that can overcome this one. She gave her life. That's why when she davens for the Bnei Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens. Now, if you take El Acher, this is the klipa of Amalek. Just for you to know, so we have a little bit of knowledge what's going on here. Equals 240 equals Amalek. But yeah, you all know the story that Amalek is the bad guy. He wants to kill us. Let's understand what this El Acher and this Amalek, just for very shortly. If we write Amalek in full to see what's inside him, Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf. All right, nothing much, equal 470. But I know one thing, that 470 equals 10 times, 21, plus 10 times 26. Can someone tell, why do I do that? When you write in Hebrew keyboard, it's not easy. Okay. What is 10 times? What is 21? The Bina. Kehiyah. What is 26? Yud Kevav K. He takes them in full. 10 times to 10 is the full amount Kehiyah and 260 here. 260 plus 210 equal 470. Look at the power of Amalek. It's tremendous power. And who contains him? Yaakov. Only with what name? Yisrael. When a person needs to be saved from anything, Yisrael is the envelope you want to be in. As close as possible and be Mekayim to be a Ben Yisrael. No matter where you are, any tzara, Israel will save you from the worst of the worst problems, and all of a sudden everything will disappear. So now if we take the four of them together, equals Chukas HaTorah. Now he's grabbing your head and he's saying, Elazar is telling me that the Klippos are here. He told them you're coming back to war. We didn't understand before. But now we see he hints them that all the four Klippos that you went to fight out there are here. Come back to war. We need you. Where are they? Moshe got angry. So what? I don't know. It's a chukah to me too. He says, I don't know what to do. He says, I need all of you to come here. We have to find the halacha and know what to do to this woman. Because as a Kohen Gadol he is, he can tell them the Klippos are here. That's why he repeated out of nowhere a language that belongs to Para Aduma. I'm going to give you a way that the whole Shema Yisrael is in here. You would have understood why they call them Rav Ve'atzum, the Bnei Yisrael. Why every time Paro called them Rav Atzum, Bilam called them Rav Atzum, Bala called them Rav Atzum. What is this word that you categorize the Bnei Yisrael? Because Rav Atzum, which is the adjective by which they define a Jew, a Ben Israel, equals 414. Oir Ein Sof. We can do nothing against these guys because of the light surrounding them. What is the Ben Israel? Rav Atzum. When he has to do something, he has to do something. He's not scared to stand for what he does, but he can get angry. The Zohar keeps on, and he says, so we saw before his Avodah Zarah, you cannot approach him. He's a El Zar, the tough klippa that Rachel Imenu had to take down herself with her life. The Zohar says, if you approach him, his stuma is so big that you will become tough. You don't have to do anything to him. Shake his hand. That's why in Sefer Hasidim it's brought down to stay away from the goyim as much as possible, and and try not to interfere, because the tumor of a goy is very similar to that tumor, and people don't realize that it jumps to a person, and bit by bit it expands and grows like a cancer in the person. So, but I want to stay on my Jew here. He is metame another person. In other words, his gam of kas that he has, that he lost his nefesh ruach neshama of kedusha, jumps to the other person and can trap him into the same chet in order to have the same outcome. The Zohar ends up says on here, you're not even allowed to look at his face. It's also to look at his face, because the looking, you don't realize your nefesh look, it gets affected. You get even affected by looking at him. In other words, now we understand the stringency when the Zohar says, look before you approach a person, be very careful of his manner and his demeanor, if he gets angry or not at the time, even when he's entitled. You understand that Kodesh, why he refrained from and Skol Sheken not, the Zohar goes all over ballistic in many places, throwing objects that the whole person strengthened. But you know what? Let's go back now to the Kodesh and understand what happens. The extent, because the Kodesh we're going to go all the way to explain us everything. He won't leave anything on the side. All the mitzvahs that he has done, he lost them. Whoa, what kind of a din is that? Yes, you're a different person. You're not the one who's done them. It's this nefesh ruach neshama that have done them. They will come back. They will have them, but they will have to come back. But you, no. You're a different person. You don't have them. By the way, every mitzvah that you do doesn't go to the kedusha, goes to reinforce the sitra achra. What? So what? I'm going to stop putting on tefillin? I'm going to stop doing Shabbos? Guy who has a kas, it's not something that you give in a shir. You're going to tell you what to do on a guy like this. Maybe he can correct himself, but what he has lost is lost forever. Says the Zohar on these words, that when the person are about, so the biggest shame in Shamayim is to be naked. So we have at Salem, that's why we wear the tzitzis, in order to have a chaluka de Rabbanan, a cloth like all the chachamim, to be able to walk within the other people dressed like them, not to be different. But this person, when he's gonna die, there's gonna be no tzelem for him. And by the way, he's not gonna go to the right side. He's gonna become a ruach ra. He doesn't even have olam haba. No, he's not gonna be there. He's gonna join his friends, and he's gonna start being part of the armies of the sitra achra, and try to take, and for him it's a tremendous suffering. The in Shar Gilgulim, Reb Chaim Vital brings a story that happened to him. And he says it's a long story. I'm just going to go very quickly to give you the big lines. He says one time he was passing by a cemetery, and there was a goy. There was a kvura of a goy that had died already thousands of years. Was a bad guy. And his nefesh happened to be, he was a ruach, he happened to be there. And when he saw Reb Chaim Vital, he wanted to kill him. Only what? He couldn't kill him. For what reason? There's a din in Shamayim. You can't do what you want because you're ruach ra. Doesn't happen that way. You have to be controlled. So he decided to stalk him. And for days and days and days, the Ari HaKadosh saw him, and he told him, you have a dangerous ruach behind you. When he was learning with his brother, and his brother was not understanding to the point that he wanted him to understand, he was yelling at him. He got angry. As he got angry, this ruach came right into him and changed him. At that point, says Reb Chaim Vital, I did not want to come and learn by my Rav, the Ari HaKadosh, anymore. I could not hear his words. I could not see his face. I stayed away from him. And bit by bit, his health starting to get worse and worse and worse by the day. And he was dying. By the point that when they brought him to the Ari on his bed, the Ari HaKadosh looked at him, he was crying. He was dead. Reb Chaim Vital died like this. The Ari HaKadosh told everybody to leave. He brought him to his room, put him on his bed, and he started crying on him, davening, do whatever, you know what he does. Face on face, eyes on eyes, mouth on mouth, nose on nose, hand on hands. You know, the whole procedure to revive. And davening and crying to Hashem. All of a sudden, he revived. Reb Chaim Vital, and he made the bracha, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech ha'olam mechayeh ha'meisim. Because he says, I had chiyas ha'meisim, I was gone. This is one cast. We don't know what's going on the side and who can be entrapped or not. But extremely difficult. The Zohar says, Reb Chaim Vital says, the Ari HaKadosh says, if he can make sure. Why? I would say the neshamas are from the same place. Yes, correct. But he doesn't have that neshama no more. If he had, as long as you have the neshama, you're connected to the bina. You're connected to your mother. And the tshuva is there, so you can make tshuva. Kas wipes out all the mitzvahs. And not only this, and brings you averis by the train load, because as long as you bekas and you didn't wash yourself, you are making every mitzvah goes to the left side. You're going to ask me, what is a person supposed to do? Look at the Igeres Ramban, what he told his children to do. The daber kol devarecha benachas. You have to be. What did he say? The first thing he says, tinatzel minakas, to be saved. This is the first thing the Ramban HaKadosh, on which the Ari HaKadosh says, testifies that from Shimon Bar Yochai to the Ramban, there was no bigger mikubel in between. First thing is the kas. What is a person supposed to do if chas v'shalom he fell in the kas? First of all, how not to fall in the kas. There are two ways that are given to us by Chazal. The first thing is to look at the nails, and this prevents kas from coming. Why? Because there are two things in the nails. All the chitzonim, why do we wash the hand, and especially the fingers? Because they attach themselves to the extremities of the hand, to the tziporen. But tziporen is a holy thing. It reminds us, is the shemes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is the levush that Adam Arishon had in Gan Eden. So this will give you, reset your inner you in the right place, and you will refocus on staying away from chaos. The second thing is looking at the corner of your tzitzis, kanaf. We have 4 kanaf on the tzitzis, where the tzitzis is attached. I'm going to take away. This is a kanaf, a corner. Looking at the corner, why? Because corner kanaf equals 150, kas equals 150. These are the 2 ways to be nitzel, to escape falling into the kas. Okay, someone could not contain himself. The Ariya Kodesh says what the Ariya Kodesh and the Zohar says, and it's the emes, it's Divrei Elokim Chaim, but unfortunately we the last generation. And not according to the Gali Arizal, but it's going to go till 960 according to him. But who knows? But with the last generations, among the last generations, put it that way. And unfortunately, we don't have these strong ties anymore to the Kedusha that we should know, that remaining away from Kas at any cost. Someone who fell for Kas, it's worse than Negelwasser. First of all, he should go right away. Not talk as little as possible, but right away to a mikveh. Mikveh 151, kas 150 plus the koilel 151. Ve'aver kas midebecha, to remove it. After that, you correct it with tshuva. But first, we need to remove what the kas brought here. Why? Because these forces, these dark forces, cannot stand the water. They cannot be in water. So the fastest you go, the less roots they're taking in you, and the easier you can uproot them. Mikveh is the very cleaning of the kas. And it's also the name of the Bina, Aleph, He, Yud Vav Dalet, He, equals 1 kana. The kin'ah, you can have kin'ah on the Midianim without having anger on the Midianim. Kin'ah is a Shem Kodesh. The kin'ah is kanoi hey, when you do the kin'ah of Hashem, is having kin'ah because of the hey, the malchus that they threw away. But kas, never. Yehi Ratzain, that if all this shearing for that shear, and people can be saved from one kas, and Kol Sheken, work, the Ramban says, every day on it. We should have in mind every day on it that the one thing we don't want to do is kas. Then we are safe for the rest. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.